Washington play?
As of now, 0, but just give it a second.
Lights on. Are we gonna start?
Yeah, we're live right now.
All right.
So we're gonna give it a few seconds for people to get on. Not a lot of time. Just right now, don't have anyone on, but just give them a second to before we officially start. Just a little bit. Okay, so first of all, for anyone who is here at this point, first thing you'll notice is the fact that we have 3 people here and that the layout's a little different. I'll talk about that in just a second. 3 people in, we'll go ahead and start. Hello, ladies and gentlemen of Vanderbilt, and welcome to Terrier Talk, Season 2, Episode 5. A very special episode this week. First of all, congratulations to Coach Leday for the first win of his hopefully long and illustrious career as a Vanderbilt head coach for football. And because of that, we had a lot of accomplishments in this game. It wasn't just a win. It was a 41-14 thrashing of Berwick High School. Talk about a lot of the optics of that game later, but first, we have 3 different people here with 3 very different perspectives and insights. Hello, Ian. Thank you for coming on the show, and greetings. So, 3 very different insights and perspectives on the game. Colin Robichaud was the starting running back, the played running back for the entire second half with 18 carries. Talk about that a little bit in a second. Gavin Daigle had probably the best game, one of the best games I've ever seen, statistically speaking, just in general, from a player at Vanderbilt I've been here. Of course, this was not his first time being on the show. This is his second, but his game was so great I couldn't not have him on. And finally, Thad didn't play in the game. He's hurt, but he has probably some interesting insights onto the defense and the difference in the first half and the second half, and some of the struggles for the first time our defense really had, giving up drives in the second half. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Colin. So this was your first game ever playing running back, at least in high school. Did you ever play it before high school?
8th grade.
8th grade you played it? Okay, cool. But this is your first time, at least in a few years, in that big stage. You got 18 carries in the second half alone, and just in the second half, and 104 yards, along with a 47-yard kickoff return, giving you over 150 all-purpose yards. That is phenomenal for a first true chance at that. And first of all, congratulations, great job. But second of all, how does it feel? I know running back's one of those positions with the shortest shelf lives, and you probably got really banged up throughout the game. So, how does your body feel throughout that?
Yeah, I haven't been that sore in a while. It's a lot different from 8th grade. Everybody else got a lot bigger, and I didn't really grow too much. So, yeah. It tackles. It's just a different situation now. You have little 12-year-old kids on you, and it's not that big of a deal. Yeah. But
now, Berwick's not that big of a team, but even they still are going to tackle you 19 times in the game, and it hurts. So your body's banged up. Was there anything special going through your mind throughout the game?
I was just happy to be playing running back again. That's always been my favorite position on offense, so I like being back behind the line.
Now, obviously, a little bit of backstory with this. Brian Roundtree last week talked about this, the last play of this first half of the Westgate game. He got injured. He'll be out for a long time, about at least 6 weeks. So you're really the big person we're moving here to fill in that position. Obviously, I wish Brian the best of luck recovering, but I think we have a really good chance to still be good at that running back position with you and Dylan Gode playing that nice 1-2 punch there. Is there any do you think I think you have a lot of potential in the position. You've shown that a lot. What do you think going forward with your play?
Yeah, I like it. I'm hoping me and Dylan can start splitting reps, just kind of how we did last game, stop him from getting hurt. We have a lot of injuries at running back this year, so I like what we've been running. Yeah,
we've got to wrap both of you guys in bubble wrap all season. At this point, it's a lot. It's very scary. We have Caleb go down. We have Brian go down. We're running out of players at that position. So it's simultaneously very intriguing, very exciting to see still having success there, but it's also scary. Because every time you get tackled, or every time Dylan gets tackled, you guys combined for 34 touches throughout that game. If I recall correctly, I think it was 15 and 19. Every time one of you gets tackled, I fear that really one of our last chances to have a lot of good production at that position falls. But obviously, I hope you had a great game, great debut at that position. I hope you have the best continuing going into that big game against Touchdown. moving on to Gavin. So, for those who didn't or aren't aware, although I don't think this is a public statistic yet, I am going to go ahead and make it public. Gavin had arguably the greatest individual single game performance at my time at Vanderbilt for almost 4.5 seasons at this point. And we've had some great games from some running backs and even a couple games from Andrew Robinson playing quarterback at his career at Vanderbilt. Michael LeCompte had some great games. Brendan Rodgers had some great games. But I've never seen a 6-touchdown performance before. And it was phenomenal to watch. It felt like, well, first of all, so a little bit, just the straight up statistics. He was 11 for 14, passing for 187 yards and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was 15 attempts, 110 yards, and 4 rushing touchdowns. You were a magnet to the end zone during this game, and it was great. So, along with a couple great punts, but sadly. Oh, I mean, look, it's like there was no avoiding you for that defense. Even if they were able to stop the offense, you still punted at 50 yards, 45.5 yards average on your pair of punts. So just a great game all around, everywhere, both offense and special teams. So you were playing almost out of your skin. Was there like a difference in the way you were thinking from the first 2 games to now?
No, not really.
No.
I mean, we knew what we had to do. I mean, it's the same thing as always. You got to go and start off bad. But, I mean, different? No, just started losing.
Now, that's completely understandable. Everyone here is tired of losing, and it's great to get that first one. And I think there's one very interesting difference. That we couldn't move the ball against Westgate and against E.D. White is that we couldn't finish the drive against those teams. Right. But the big difference, you were responsible for all 6 of our touchdowns during that game. The big difference, you were able to find the end zone, either rushing or passing. Specifically, I think you only had 1 red zone passing touchdown. The other one was the big bomb to Hunter. But when you had the ball in your hand, it felt like you were magnetized to that end zone. Again, I understand that probably wasn't a big difference, but was there anything you felt during that game about that?
Honestly, I felt like the offensive line blocked really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
That helped a tremendous amount, especially rolling out and having time to throw to Hunter. And then, I mean, most of my touchdowns, none of my touchdowns were like me reversing the field 4 times and juking out 11 people.
Right. The one in the second half is not that far off from. I mean, obviously not juking out 11 people.
The blocking was really good.
The blocking, yes, that's another thing that. And again, the blocking wasn't bad during the first 2 games, but it's progressing. Yeah. This was an offensive line. Joseph, Jojo. First of all, thank you for being on talking. And yes, touchdown magnet, Gavin here after that game. Also, Deshaun Travis, how do you think the offense was moving in the first half? Well, this is the big thing. The offense was moving in the first half of the E.D. White game and was moving in the first half of the Westgate game. We were ready to throw that first punch. We just finally connected this time.
Yeah, the first 3 drives we punched it.
Yeah, and we just kept rolling after that. We didn't stop. I said this last week in the preview for Warwick. We had the pieces there. We just had to put it together. We had to put it in the end zone early and often. And if we did that, we'd be able to win this game. And that's what happened. In a large part because of you. You were able to punch it into that end zone. Obviously, the blocking was great. And this is an offensive line I was talking about. How do you feel about ice cold tea, Michael Charbonnet asked.
I feel about what?
Ice cold tea.
It's good.
It's good? Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Michael, for talking and for interacting, and greetings. But this offensive line was a position group going into the season I was honestly concerned about. Not a lot of experience. We lost our only returning starter, and I was honestly concerned about it. But they have blown all of my expectations away. They've grown from game to game, improving every single time. And finally, we put it together. The blocking was great. Not just from the O-line, from the wide receivers.
Right.
Again, putting it together. It had great moments in the first 2 games. And you were able, because of that blocking and because of your prowess, you were able to capitalize and have one of the best statistical games I've ever seen. 6 touchdowns is unbelievable. Pretty close to 7, a holding penalty at about a yard away from the 7th. But that And then there are a couple of plays that I wanted to talk about too. So it's the end of the second half. We're up 27-0, and you get one last drive off with about a minute and a half to go. You roll back, evade about 3 defenders, and throw it across your body to John Luke, and it's about the most acrobatic 11-yard gain I've seen in my life. Complete. What was going through your mind during that play?
That play was not sprint out, if I remember correctly. We didn't run a left side sprint out the whole game. Yeah, I just ran out, and Jean-Luc was really open by the sideline. I don't even think I got hit that play. I just kind of tried to get across my body and sling it.
It reminded me, I've seen some of the commentators analyze Patrick Mahomes' play. I'm not comparing, this is not my point here, but they talk about how Patrick Mahomes is running to the right, and they see this play developing to the right, and so they play to the right.
I understand that.
Right, and then he throws it to the left.
Yeah.
It reminds me of this. Now, Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, but the concept's still the same. And it felt like some circus Johnny Manziel-esque, Patrick Mahomes-esque play, and it looked amazing. And I loved it. I loved watching it. And then the next play, or just 2 plays later, you have that throw to Hunter that gets tipped twice, and then he comes down with it.
Yeah.
That one was just a tipped pass, and that was obviously very impressive to watch, very entertaining, but not anything specific that happened.
I mean, if you want me to comment on that,
yeah, sure.
That play, we ran that exact same play 2 plays in a row, and so they didn't give me a high safety. They just press manned everybody, and Hunter was running through the middle of the field. So my plan was just to get it off quick to him. And I did the first time, and it went through his arms. And so we ran it again, and they gave me the exact same coverage, the exact same thing. So, why not take it again? And then that was the play that should have went wrong that we played. That was the one play that we got favorable on.
Right. One thing about our wide receiver core, it's one of the strongest position groups. This is something I thought going into the season is one of our strongest position groups on the team. We get one-on-one coverage with Ja'Cory Hayes or Hunter, and there's a chance for it to just go off at any point in time. It was a phenomenal performance the entire game from you and from the entire offense. And, interesting segue, for the most part, for the entire defense. Going into halftime, we gave up 46 yards of total offense. We held them to 0 for 5 for third down conversions. We had 2.5 full games, a quarter of the season, to start the season, where we did not allow a third down conversion. We're up 34-0. We go into the second half. We start rotating out starters. We're not playing as many starters. I don't think Chandler played the entire second half. Yeah. And it showed. Yeah. We gave up 200 yards of offense in the second half, 2 touchdowns. And we, for the first time this season, gave up legitimate drives. One, scoring. The first time the entire year. So, Thad, do you have any insight? Now, Thad, like I said, you didn't play in the game, but because of that, you could kind of take a step back and have a special insight going into it. So, do you have any?
I think since we were up, we just decided to rotate the younger guys and get them more experience, and that's where it hurt us a little bit, but it's making people better.
Right. It was really the only true negative I could look at this game and look at 273 yards. Berwick's not a terrible team, and they have a quarterback that I think is actually very good, Ed Gonzalez, something like that, and he looked very good throughout that game, honestly, even with only putting up 14 points. But it's still, after that first half, we wish we could have done better. We gave up our first third down conversions of the season, 2 of them in that second half. Do you think that, obviously, do you think there's a learning experience to have here from this?
Definitely, but I mean, we're just trying to grow and get better. So.
And I felt like getting those guys playing time was really important and really good. But
it's hard to stay statistically sound whenever you're up by 30 points.
Right.
So you kind of throw statistics out the window and try to keep your boys safe.
Definitely. I completely understand the decision. That's not my point with this. It's just looking at is there a way that we can improve from this? I think even the starters can look at those mistakes that the twos made, and the twos obviously can too, and learn from that and look at that and improve from that. Lots to look at from there. James also came on. He told you I was coming to watch this one, and he was, and he is here. So thank you for that. Thank you for coming on, and greetings from the entire group here for Terrier Talk.
Tell him how good James did.
Oh, look. James was great. He's sort of, with Mark's entry, come out as a de facto leader of that offensive line, and in a lot of ways the entire offense. And he has taken that role greatly. So thank you for coming on. It was a great performance from you and the entire offensive line and the entire offense, of course, finally bringing everything together and putting together that great 41-point game. I think it was almost 500 yards of total offense, 470 yards of total offense, 300 of them coming from you, or at least you were partially responsible for. But just an amazing game. Does anyone have any other insights they want to talk about with the game, either this one or moving forward?
No.
Is it
just the way we won, because it wasn't just a blowout. If you were there with us the whole week, you would know.
We had a good week of practice.
Right.
And we had to do a lot of adjusting. Me, Jean-Luc, and Ja'Cory switch, and Landon Rogers, a young kid, had to move to defense because, key people like that got hurt, and some people had to step up. I didn't play any defense, but Landon played the whole game.
Ja'Cory got a tackle.
We had to do a lot of moving around, and obviously we didn't do that bad.
Yeah, they played key snaps like you talked about, and especially in the secondary, and
people like Colin coming in, and
of course, probably the single best example, the most successful example of a position change today.
Or JoJo getting the first ever holding call without touching her. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Mouse says, "What's up?" So thank you for coming.
What's up, Doug? What's up, Mouse?
And thank you for coming on and greetings. But yeah, do you have any thoughts going into the touchdown game? I think I talked about this before the show, and I'll talk about it more when we get specifically to touchdown. But it's a matchup. We're gonna be underdogs. They're going to be favored. They're the higher ranked team. But I think we have a shot. I think this is a very winnable game for us. Westgate, as much as the score might not dictate that, was a winnable game for us for a very long time. Things go our way in that first half specifically, and we're talking about a 7-point game going at halftime, and that's very winnable. So I think we have a chance to keep up with that team. Do you think there are any specific things we need to do in order to do that?
Start fast.
Play
with confidence.
Start fast, for sure.
That's the big thing. In both of our losses and our one win, there's a big difference. E.D. White, we almost threw that first punch, and then there was a fumble on the first drive. Westgate, we almost threw that first punch after, we gave up a touchdown, but if we score on that first drive at 7-7, it's a completely different ballgame. But a little bit of a bad spot, a false start penalty, and we turn it over on downs. But we do it this time against Warwick, and it just gets rolling from there. I completely agree that is maybe the most important thing. We have to go into that game willing to throw that first punch, connect it, go up on the scoreboard, and play from there. So that I think you're still not going to be able to play for this week, correct? Yes. You're hoping to come for the Welsh game, though. That'll be homecoming. That'll be very big next week. And I obviously hope everyone here has a great season moving forward, and I wish you guys the best of luck in the future games. So thank you all of you for coming on.
Thank you, Double A.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Double A.
Thank you. So we're going to do a little bit of camera adjusting here because showing 3 chairs that are not. Give me 1 second. Showing 3 chairs that are not going to be utilized. Oh, you want to help? Yeah, thank you. Kenny says, "Oh yes, we are live. We are live, Kenny. Thank you." And also, thank you for coming on, for joining the show today, and greetings. So, yeah, we need a great week of practice, James says. I completely agree. We had a great week of practice last week for the most part, and that's something they touched on, and we definitely are going to need a great week of practice. So a few other points of this game that I want to talk about. Thad, Gavin, and Colin all had specific parts I wanted to talk to them about, but there are a few other statistics that I wanted to mention. Jean-Luc only had 8 touches, 3 catches, 2 rushes, 2 punt returns, and a kick return. But every time he touched the ball, it felt like he was going to go house. He didn't get a touchdown this week, but he was this close almost every single time. He had 100 yards in kick and punt returns alone, and then an extra 50 in his 5 touches from scrimmage, giving 150 all-purpose yards, around the same number as Colin Robichaux, with 19 touches. So that was a phenomenal game from him, just in general there. So John Luke was dangerous the entire game. Sean Diebold also had a very good game. Obviously, he had some busts, it seems, but he also had that big interception that helped get that ball rolling to that big 41-14 victory. Chandler Rhodes obviously had a great game. The other notable player, Braden Heck, led the team in tackles, but in the fourth quarter, if I recall correctly, third or fourth quarter, he got hurt, and we're still awaiting an X-ray to see just how bad that foot injury is. It could be anything ranging from from as minor as a bruise, where he may even be back either this week or next week, or it could be as bad as a fracture where we really don't know. Thad hopefully will be back next week. We're starting to get those players back into the fold, the secondary players, and hopefully we can stay a little bit healthier going into the stretch and homecoming in the district games. But yeah, great game from us. Coach O'Day gets his first win as a head coach. Part of Hamel, that's what I opened with, and I think it's very important to discuss. It was a very well coached game from him. It was solid. Great job for Coach O'Day. Congratulations for him. Coach Walker, want to bring this up briefly. He had, it's sort of not really a homecoming game, a reverse of that. We came to his house and we showed him what we've done over the last 2 years without him, and we've improved. Carter Chauvin, hello. I see the comment. Sorry, I see it now though. And thank you for coming on the show. Thank you, Carter. We came to his house and we showed him what we're made of, what we've done, how we've improved over the last 2 years. Obviously, he's also done a really good job with Berwick over the last 2 years as well. But we showed him what we've done. So that's the Berwick game. Great job for Vanderbilt. Moving on to next week and a big game against Dutchtown. We're 1-2 now, but a very big game next week. Do or do I not miss you? I mean, I saw you on Friday, Carter. It's not exactly a long absence there, so there's not much missing to do. Moving on from there to volleyball. Volleyball had an interesting week. We had a loss to Chappelle on Tuesday. It was an interesting game. We lost in set 1, came back to win set 2, and then kind of just fell apart in sets 3 and 4 from what I heard. Not a great performance from us. That's a little concerning going into the future because Chappelle's going to be a state championship contender. We need to be able to play with a team like that if we want to contend for that state championship and get that three-peat like I think we really can do. But it's still a long season. We still have a chance, and we still won a set against a very, very good Chappelle team. Went to the state semifinals last year and won the state championship 2 years ago. Great program. Then they went to a tournament over the course of last weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and placed second in it. So a great job from them. If I recall correctly, losing in the finals, so still very solid there. Junior high football beat down a new team in Grand Caillou. Grand Caillou's first season as a junior high football team, and they looked like it. They weren't honestly that great of a team. Jalen Coleman was great for, I think, 3 rushing touchdowns, so very good job from him. And finally, swimming had a strong showing, 3rd place in a Nichols meet. Bryce and Carter having a conversation. Thank you for that. But Bryce, also thank you for coming on, and greetings for the show. So, swimming had a solid performance. 3rd place, beat a few good teams. I think 3rd place for both the boys and the girls, if I recall correctly. I might be wrong on that. I apologize. And then cross country. So cross country, boys placed 5th of 12 or 11, above half. Pretty good placement. The boys are improving. They're still improving. Thomas Thompson, Bryce Valor, the 2 top runners. A bunch of solid runners for the boys, though. And they keep improving. They keep getting better, and they keep making big strides. The girls don't have any strides to make. Another perfect score, another flawless run, and they look like how do I say it? They look like the most impressive team maybe I've ever seen at Vanderbilt. It is crazy how badly we're beating up on these opposing teams. Let's talk about the exact numbers. Bryn Kelso outran everyone not in a Vanderbilt jersey by over 2 minutes in that cross-country run. Ella Chestnut lost to her by about 35, 40 seconds, but still outrun everyone not in a Vanderbilt jersey by over a minute. They also outrun everyone, period, by 25 plus seconds. It is crazy just how good they are. Deshaun Travis asked about the main event. The main event is going to be the cross-country meet, and I'll talk about that later on and why that is the main event. But just to know right now, the girls had a phenomenal meet this weekend. Again, sweeping with the perfect score of 15, the top 5 runners. And I want to talk a little bit about Bryn Kelso and Ella Chestnut and spotlight them a little bit. They were great. Obviously, all 5 of these runners were great, and we also had the 7th and the 10th in our 6th and 7th slots, which is also great. It's just amazing. But Bryn and Ella have great work ethic from what I've heard. They work really hard to do as well as they can, and they deserve these great numbers that they're getting. They are legit. They don't just seem great, they are great. So that's really all there is about them. Moving on to that's really those are all the reviews for the week. Moving on to previews, starting with the varsity game with Dutchtown. So Dutchtown is a great team. There are no two ways about it. They're ranked, I think, 60th in the state. Very solid team. But if you look into the numbers and you look into our opponents, this game is very winnable. This is a game that we can legitimately get a win on. And if we do, then that is amazing for our team and for our program in general. So Dutchtown's 3-0, one of the best teams in the region. But their 3 wins are against teams with a combined 1-8 record. And these are not teams that are playing great teams either. They're not that good. I think their best win is against North Shore, who is ranked lower than us by about 30 slots. So Dutchtown, they're good. They're very good. But they haven't played anyone at an elite high speed this season. We have. We have played Westgate already. We've also played games in a scrimmage and Terrebonne in an actual game. Can I come on the show to talk about soccer when it starts? Carter asks. Potentially. We'll talk about that closer to soccer season, but that's definitely a possibility for sure. So, football, Dutchtown, they haven't really played anyone this season. We have. Now, we played St. James in the Jamboree. We played Terrebonne in the scrimmage. They probably also played very good teams in those situations, but they haven't done that in a high-speed, legitimate 48-minute brawl like a full varsity high school football game is. We have. We've played a great team in Westgate with amazing athletic players. We know what that speed looks like. We've seen it already this year. They haven't yet. And that might be a big difference, especially when something we talked about earlier, the biggest key to the game possibly being throwing that first punch and getting on that scoreboard early. If we do that, we surprise them. I think they're not going to go into this game thinking that we're that great. I don't think they will. But if they overlook us, they don't come out swinging, and we do, and we get on that scoreboard early, we have a legitimate chance of winning this game and pulling off a relatively big upset. We're going to go into this game as underdogs. They're going to go in favored, probably by a good bit. But this game is a very legitimate chance for us to win and make a big stride as a team on the road against a great football team and a great football program in Dutchtown. It's not going to be easy. On the road, of course, it's never easy. However, an interesting development, Coach, I talked about this before, Coach Atwell always was a lot better on the road than at home. And Coach Leday, obviously it's a very small sample size, and the opponents also matter, but 0-2 at home, 1-0 on the road. We'll see. We'll see if that continues. This game's not going to be easy to win, but we do have a very legitimate chance to do so. And on the road, maybe we have a better chance. We'll have to see. But it's going to be a tough game, but I think we have a chance to win. So, junior high, I want to touch on this real quick. Junior high football plays Oaklawn. A little reminiscing I want to make. We played Oaklawn in the district championship my 8th grade year, and we came up pretty close to pulling off that victory. So maybe they can do the same. This is a very solid, Vanderbilt 8th grade team, and maybe we can pull off a win against what's usually seen as the best team in the district. So best of luck to them. They travel to Oaklawn this week to do so. Next, there is volleyball. Volleyball plays Episcopal at Acadiana, if I recall correctly, is the name. And this is a team, so this is actually pretty funny. This is a team that I previewed back in episode 2, thinking that they were playing that week against them, but I think it was just a tournament that they were playing there. Now they're actually playing Episcopal at Acadiana, and so the preview is going to be the same. This was a great team last year. I think they were in Division 4, and they made the quarterfinals, losing to Central Catholic, if I recall correctly. This is a great team, but so I was just looking at the comments. I don't know exactly what the situation is with soccer. I definitely will have boys soccer players on in the future during the soccer season. Whoever they are, depends on how the games go. Just we'll see. So Deshaun, Carter, we'll see. Okay, so volleyball. What I said back in episode 2 really still does hold true. This Episcopal team is pretty good. If I recall correctly, they made top 8 in Division 4, so they're a good team, but I really don't think they can hold up to us. We're a team that, even though we've gone through a couple of bumps over the last couple of weeks, still an elite team, still a great team, still a team that competes really, really hard for every single win, and we're experienced, and we're peaking with all these great seniors, 3 starting seniors that have started for a few years now, at least a couple, and I think we're favored, I think we should win, and I think we will win. Then we have a tournament. Not a tournament. We play Country Day, which is surprisingly a name of a school in Louisiana. I don't know the exact situation there. So, despite that, from what I saw, they were a pretty decent team, but nothing special, and it should be a win. So, it should be a week where we can get 2 big wins for the volleyball team. Finally, Vanderbilt plays the in cross country. The main event of this week, cross country versus cross country in a meet, a big meet, because this is a meet with a bunch of 5A schools. This cross country team, especially the girls team, has run through everyone they have faced. Perfect 15 last week, perfect 15 the week before. The top 5 runners every single week at all their meets so far, if I recall correctly. Just an absolutely perfect situation for them. This is their chance against tougher competition, against bigger teams, against bigger schools, and against these big 5A programs. They have a chance to prove on that big scale that they are an elite team in the state and gunning for back-to-back championships. These are teams that theoretically should compete with Vanderbilt, no matter how good that girls' cross country team is. But no matter what, this is our chance to show that we are this great team that we seem to be. We have a chance to put up numbers and win a meet that normally no one would think us to win. But this girls' team is elite. This girls' team is amazing. They've picked up that leadership, apparently. They have great work ethic. Ella and Brenda, at the very least, who I assume the team in general would. And they have a chance to prove that they are something special this week. Now, I say that, and that's not to discount the boys' team. The boys' team is a little bit of a different situation. It's a young boys' team. It's a boys' team that is still very good, and they're going to go up against that same tough competition for the boys. But this is also a boys team that is improving, that is striding. The Baseball King asks, what is this? This is a Terrier Talk show where we discuss all the Vanderbilt sports news from the previous week and previewing the week up next. The main event, of course, cross country. The boys team has a chance to make great strides. They've been making great strides this entire season, and they have a chance with all those improvements to do something great as well. It's not to say that the boys team isn't good. I don't think they have the same chance to shock these 5A schools that our girls team does, but they can still turn heads. They can still improve. They had in this meet last week, they beat all their teams in their district, in their parish, in their river parish. So this is a solid, very good team at the top of their division, not the division, but in their area, and they have a chance to go to this this big meet and this Christian Brother meet in what's the exact name? Excuse me, in Abita Springs, if I recall correctly, if my source is right. But a big chance to do something great for the boys as well. The boys have a chance to do something great, and the girls have a chance to prove they're something special. And that is the biggest opportunity for the cross-country team, probably up until state this season. One of the biggest meets for them. So I wish them, of course, the best of luck going into that meet, and I hope they can come home and show that they proved something. We're not, the Baseball King, we're not really here to talk about professional sports. I've thought about delving into other sports, but this is just Vanderbilt stuff. I don't know my exact thoughts on that either. So, hope the boys and girls teams have go and do the best they can. I wish them the best of luck in cross country this week in that meet, and I hope all of the teams, of course, can come home with victories, come home with as much success as they can at Dutchtown against Episcopal Acadiana, the junior high team, the cross country teams. I hope they all have that great success, and I wish them all the best of luck. And I hope to see everyone next week, same time, same channel. It might be a very special episode next week. We'll have to see. But I hope to see you guys all next week on this show, same time, same channel. Thank you.